In this tutorial, I'm going to use the 3D effect to make a can. I start by using the shape tools, and this is just going to be a simple can. If you think about an aluminum can and what it looks like, they're usually round. They usually have a little lip on the top and bottom, and sometimes they have little ridges that you see if you look at it, like put the can down on something and look straight down on it in that little circle part of the top, you're going to see some ridges. So I can make all those things using my shape tool. I'm going to start with rectangle tool, and I'm going to remove the stroke because this will work better if I do, and I'm going to pick a gray color because cans are usually made out of some kind of metal. Sometimes it's aluminum, sometimes it's a silvery gray color. So to get this to work in the 3D tool, what I need to do is draw essentially half the can. So I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle about that big. And it doesn't really matter where I place it on my page. Oh, and incidentally, I'm just using a regular 8.5 by 11 document. When I chose new document, I just let it go with the presets that were in there because it doesn't really matter. Next, as part of my can, I've already got my rectangle. It's going to be part of my can. I can always change the size of it later after I've made it into something 3D by manipulating the shapes with the select tool. But the next thing I'm going to do is use my ellipse tool, and I'm just going to hold down shift and draw a tiny little circle that's going to become the corner lip of my can. So I'm going to use my smart guides to move this into place until I see that little thing pop up that says intersect. That way I know I see the guide, smart guide on the top, smart guide along the side. I know I've got the center of that circle placed exactly on that upper right corner there. And I want another one at the bottom, but I'm not going to grab my ellipse tool and draw another circle. I'm going to use Option key, click and drag to duplicate this. So if I hold down Option and I click and drag, I can very quickly just create another little ellipse that I'm going to put down here at the bottom, lining it up the same way I lined up this one by waiting till I saw that little thing that said intersect and the smart guides to line up that part of my can. And I also said, oh wait, my can's going to have little ridges. There's a variety of ways that I can put the little ridges in there. And for this assignment, I'm only going to see the top of the can, so it kind of doesn't matter what the bottom of the can looks like. So the ridges are tiny. There are different ways I can put them in there. I think the best way, perhaps, is to zoom in and working with this shape, I'm going to use my Add Anchor Point tool to just add in a couple anchor points where I think there might be ridges. They're very close together. I need to make them in sets of 3 because I'm going to bump this one up in a second. So I just made 3 sets of 3 new anchor points added in along this path that is the top of my can. So I'm going to drag a guide in here, and if you don't see rulers, you can't put guides in unless you see rulers. If you don't see rulers, choose Show Rulers from View menu. Okay, I need a guide. I don't want to make these little ridges too high, so I'm just pulling in a guide there to make sure I get them all the same height. Otherwise, it's going to look screwy. And I'm zooming in again. I can zoom out later, but I just want to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so ridge number 1, ridge number 2. If I decide that there's too much space here or not enough space here, I can always hold down shift and grab these little points here and just kind of move them along as long as I click to select them. Okay, looks good enough for now to me. So I'm going to zoom back out. Okay, those are going to look like ridges. I'm going to take this guide and I'm going to move it away unless I lock guides, and then I'm going to leave it there. Let's go see what I did with that. Guides. Okay, unlock guides. Get out of my way. Okay, so now I've got this thing that's essentially going to become half of my can once I do the little 3D trick to it. I got to select the whole thing. I'm doing that by clicking and dragging. I'm going to go to my Pathfinder menu palette, and if you don't see Pathfinder, you'll find it under Window menu, under P. Everything's in alphabetical order, so make sure Pathfinder's checked, and then it's probably here somewhere. So in Pathfinder, I'm going to choose Unite. I want all those shapes together. I want these little circles to be united with that big rectangle that I just made those little ridges in. So I'm going to choose Unite, and that sort of puts everything together. Now I get to go to Effect menu, to 3D, and choose Revolve. If I want to see what this is going to look like before I do the revolve, I can just click Preview, and it'll show me something that looks like a can. If I'm happy with it, I can click OK. If I want to change the size of it, because I don't think it is a convincing enough can, I can alter the rectangle with my Select tool. And there you go. Basic can using shape tools and 3D Revolve. Oh, and Pathfinder Unite to unite the shapes.